live at another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. It is April 20-something, 24th, I believe. It is
24th, yeah.
NFL draft week, one of our favorite weeks of the year. Of course, it's back-to-back years, and neither of our teams have a first-round pick, so it kind of takes the luster off a little bit. But still one of our favorite events to watch, to recap, to talk about. Tanner's got his hottest mock draft, hot off the presses here tonight.
Literally.
So, what's going on there, Tana, man?
Oh, another Monday, J-Man. Excited to talk some sports with you. We'll be talking NFL draft, like you said. Breaking NFL news within the last 2.5 hours or so that Aaron Rodgers is officially a New York Jet. We'll be breaking that down, giving our thoughts on that. NBA playoffs, and, of course, the MLB as we're creeping up on a month or so into the season. So
20 games.
Still too early to say who's pretenders and contenders. But there's some interesting teams some off to hotter starts than we envisioned, and some off to worse starts than we envisioned. So,
yep, you really don't learn a whole lot in April. Of course, you can lose a bunch of games and set yourself up for failure the rest of the year. It just feels like game over. There's a few teams that have already done that. But as far as the good teams go, it'll fluctuate all year. And really, we'll start talking pretenders, contenders come around probably mid-July, I would say, is when we can hit that. But, yeah, baseball is heating up a little bit, unlike the weather.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a little chilly again in the Midwest. Yeah, this morning was ridiculous. I went out, got in my car this morning to move it in the driveway, and it looked like an ice cube. I didn't even think about starting it early or anything. It was, because I had to move it out because I parked right behind me. Usually I give my fiance room to get out in the morning. Yesterday I thought I was going somewhere and I'm not, so I was parked right behind her. Forgot till this morning she goes to leave. Hey, you need to move your car. I go out and it's frozen. It was so frozen, Josh. my rear view camera wasn't on. I had to open up my car door and look back the whole way when I was in reverse down the driveway. So that was interesting. I was glad there wasn't any trash cans or other cars behind me.
Oh, I've backed into a trash can full of water bottles before. That was fun. That was fun. I was running late for somewhere and backed into them. I had to go pick them up. That was a blast.
I'm sure some choice words were said.
Yeah. Well, it snowed like mad here on Saturday for like an hour, and then it was done. But April 20-something, you just never know anymore. Just never know.
You don't.
Then, like next weekend, I saw it's supposed to be like 70s again. So take that.
Take what we can get. But all right, the Birdie or Bogey this week. I am one stroke up on you, but you got a chance to tie or maybe go 2 strokes down. We will see. There's no pars this week. It's a question that you either get it right and get a birdie, or you get it wrong and get a bogey. It is NBA related, since we are heavily into the NBA playoffs with round 1 action still going on. Pretty standard question here today. Who is the only current NBA head coach who was a finals MVP?
Current NBA head coach that was a finals MVP. Man, that's a good question. It's a real good question. I don't know. I
don't know. You say that every week, and
I couldn't name you like 26 of the coaches. So, although I do have a pretty good guess now that I think about it.
Exactly.
Come to me, it's probably wrong, but I think I might be able to get it.
Exactly.
Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House is upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere. Located 703 Main Street in Rochester, Indiana. I saw them put out their Monday special tonight, and it has made me want to just somehow teleport to Rochester, Indiana, and get their smoked wings.
Smoked wings, man.
Yeah, they looked absolutely divine.
I shared it on our page, and I said, hey, while you're there getting wings for dinner, if you're there from 6:30 to 7:30, anytime in between, tell them turn on channel 122. Yeah. Pop our faces up there right in Arlington. So,
yeah, they have a wide range of items on their menu and specs.
They do.
Like over the weekend, they had miso ramen, Japanese ramen noodles, and a savory roasted broth topped with roasted pork belly, soft boiled egg, roasted corn, and shiitake mushrooms. So they have that. They have burgers. They have steak. They have wings. Upscale cuisine.
A little bit of everything. Yep, a little bit of everything. So.
Yes, sir.
What do you want to start off the night with, J-Man?
Let's talk some NBA. Get that out of the way because
Do it.
I haven't watched a whole lot, to be honest.
I've watched bits and pieces. I can't tell you I've sit down and watched a complete game, but I've watched quarters of some games and stuff like that. Yeah, some series. I mean, most of them are pretty predictable. The Kings Warriors has got real interesting now, being 2 games apiece.
Yep.
And there's some tension. That game was really good yesterday. 126-125. Warriors won to tie that series up. But a lot of the other series, one series has been completed. The Sixers swept the Nets, which both of us kind of predicted that. The Suns have a 3-1 lead over the Clippers. They should close that out. If I'm the Clippers, I'm thinking about moving away from Kawhi Leonard. 4 years, he's been in LA now. He's just not dependable health-wise, and he's not getting any younger. That team, they went for it all with getting him and Paul George, and it just hasn't worked out for them. And that's kind of the Clippers in a nutshell the last 2 decades. They go for it all every once in a while, and it doesn't work out for them. Chris Paul, they had some good years, him and Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, but they couldn't get over the hump. So they have a lot of money there, but I don't know.
Kawhi is kind of like Anthony Davis in the fact that he's not going to play more than like 50 games usually.
Right.
He's oft injured. He is the king of load management too. So he's just not going to play that much. And he even did he sit out?
He sit out game 3.
Game 3. I mean, that's a pivotal game too.
Yep.
And he just decided to sit it out. So.
Yep. Other series. The Bucks Heat game 4 is tonight. The Heat have a 2-1 lead, and this game's in Miami. So this is a big one. If the Heat can take this one, I think they end up pulling the upset off and winning the series.
Yeah, I saw Giannis was out at shoot around, so he might play tonight.
They need him.
They need him. Obviously, you lose an MVP, and you're not going to be as good. But it's definitely proven that way. And with a Heat win, I mean, that completely opens up the East. Of course, the Celtics are really good as well, but it could open up for a team like the Knicks as well.
The other series tonight's game 4 between the Lakers and the Grizzlies. Once again, if the Lakers get this one at home, they take a 3-1 lead, and that series is looking like it could be over in an upset, which, like we were saying a week ago, the Lakers are a stupidly dangerous 7 seed.
Yeah, I'm sick of Dylan Brooks' shtick. He's very Draymond-like.
Yep.
He's dirty, talks a lot of trash, not a whole lot of substance to go with it. And then he blames the fans and media for turning him into a villain, even though he's done a pretty good job of doing that himself. It's almost made me want to root for the Lakers because I've started to dislike the Grizzlies so much. I don't really like Ja Morant anymore. Jaren Jackson's really good, but Dylan Brooks is unlikable. Desmond Bane. It's just not a very likable team, and they should be very likable. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is. Other games tomorrow night, Celtics are up 3-1 against the Hawks. That game's in Boston. Celtics are 13.5-point favorites, which is pretty big for the NBA.
The Hawks, DeJounte, whatever his name is, Murray is suspended for Game 5 because he bumped an official yesterday or Saturday, whenever it was. He's one of their best players too. So that's over.
Yep. I think the Nuggets will close out tomorrow night. It's back home for Game 5 there. They're up 3-1 against Minnesota. Minnesota was able to squeak it out in overtime last night. If the Nuggets would have won, that would have been the first time the Timberwolves have ever been swept in the playoffs in the history of their franchise, which is kind of interesting.
I saw a snippet or like a screenshot of A-Rod on the sideline. Obviously, he's partial owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I saw a screenshot, and the Timberwolves were up 13 with 2 minutes left, but I saw the score this morning. They won in overtime.
Yeah.
So
I know. I fell asleep before the end of the game.
Back.
I was watching the game and fell asleep. They showed A-Rod quite a few times. Joker got his 3rd foul one time last night. A-Rod stood up and said something like, "That's 3," and was pumping his fist. It's like, oh boy. But I actually kind of forgot he was even involved with the Timberwolves last night. Yeah. And then Suns Clippers, like we talked about, that game is also tomorrow night. And then Knicks Cavaliers, that Knicks game's on Wednesday. Knicks been really surprising. They're up 3-1, and their fans will let everybody know about it on Twitter. That's for sure.
Every win they've had to arrest people because they're climbing telephone poles and all of that. So they
Oh
don't get there
man.
very often. They've only won one playoff series since like when 2001 or something like that.
Yeah, they
I
won their first round series in 2013,
13.
I believe, and then the
Yeah.
Pacers beat them in the
Yes.
semifinals. Yeah.
So they're enjoying it. It would be funny if Cleveland finds a way to come back and win that one. But yeah, Warriors Kings. That has been the game or the
Yeah.
series of the playoffs so far. Um, Kings, De'Aaron Fox broke his thumb, I believe,
Yes.
yesterday. So he's going to try to play, but obviously he's one of their best players. Sabonis is pretty dang good too. But
I think Fox is teetering in the superstar category for the
I
NBA.
agree. I mean, Domantas Sabonis' numbers this year: 19 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. People don't talk about him either.
He put up good numbers when he's a Pacer. Nobody
Unbelievable.
talked
Yeah.
about him. Everybody wanted to talk about Miles Turner over him, and then they had to make a decision: which one are they going to keep, which one are they going to dealt, and they dealt Sabonis.
The wrong one. Yeah, but of course Sabonis might have wanted out too, so that might have
That's true. That's
played
true.
a role. But give me Golden State in that one. I think I picked Golden State last week to
You did.
win
You
that
did.
series, and I'm sticking with them.
I think the only series pick I picked that I would like a do-over is the Knicks Cavaliers. So you picked the Knicks, so I picked the Cavs. I wish I could have that one back, but all the rest I'm sticking with. I'm even sticking with the Kings. I think they get it done at home. I think it'll go 7 though.
Yeah,
I think it'll go 7. So kind of hope it does. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's NBA playoff basketball is better than regular season. Which what sport isn't? What sport isn't? But it's still something I don't make appointment. It's not appointment television for me. But
I was at home doing nothing on Saturday and didn't even tune in. So that's where my NBA fandom is. It used to be so much better. Like I used to get pretty big into the Bulls. Of course,
yeah,
they were fun with Derrick Rose and all that, and I got into when Darren Williams was with Utah.
sure.
But my fandom has waned so heavily that I don't even watch anymore at all.
Yeah, I got into it when the Pacers were good when we were in college.
Mm-hmm.
They had those couple runs to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then just kept running into LeBron Heat teams. But after those years, it's kind of just declined every year until they bring the Sonics back.
Yeah.
Till they bring the Sonics back. So, but any other thoughts on the NBA playoffs or anything going on in the NBA?
Who did? Oh, the Rockets hired that Ime Udoka, who was
I did
the
not see that.
Boston Celtics head coach. Then he had some
The
what
one with
sounds
all
like
the baggage?
pretty serious allegations that no one really knows what happened, but it sounds pretty serious there in Boston. Boston's doing okay with Joe Mazzulla, which is it's crazy seeing Joe Mazzulla as an NBA head coach because I remember him as like a glue guy for those West Virginia teams back in like 2010, 2011. I was an NBA head coach, but yeah, Ime Udoka is in Houston. Houston has some issues. I mean, they have a lot of young talent, but that's all they are, talent. They're a terrible team. So be interesting to see if he can turn it around.
Have the Pistons hired a new coach yet?
I do not know. I did read they were interviewing one of their guys that was on staff under Dwayne Casey. I do not know though. Maybe Stan Van Gundy will come out of retirement.
Stan. Well, let's see. Let's see if they. I can look it up here, and I don't think they did, but
I couldn't even tell you what other. I know the Toronto Raptors are looking for a head coach. Nick Nurse was fired, which is crazy because the Raptors, the last 2 head coaches they fired, both had won Coach of the Year for them at one point. Nick Nurse and Dwayne Casey. They ended up firing both of them.
oh, the assistant that the Pistons are talking to is Jaron Collins. One of the Collins brothers is assistant. Also talking to Milwaukee Bucks assistant Charles Lee and Kevin Ollie.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, he's right.
I wonder if UConn. I'm sure UConn doesn't miss him.
They also interviewed former Fighting Irish Chris Quinn, who's a Miami Heat assistant.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
And Jerome Allen, another Detroit assistant. So they've interviewed some guys.
Yeah. I mean, they have some good young talent. Cunningham needs to stay healthy. Jaden Ivey's obviously explosive, and they have a real good shot to land that Victor Wembanyama or whatever his name is. So, could be an intriguing intriguing place. They haven't been good in a long time now.
No, and they're creeping up on, like you said, so much young talent to where it's no excuse to at least get in the playoffs. So, yeah, we'll see where the coaching carousel goes, and we'll see about a month or so where the NBA ping pong balls land too for the draft lottery, and then we'll by then have a better clue of who's staying in the draft, who's come back to college, that sort of stuff. So,
yeah, I think the deadline's May 31st. I want to say.
Okay.
Trying to think who from the Big Ten put their name in. Of course, Zach Edey just did this past week or so.
Yeah, no surprise.
Michigan, did they have? I mean, I think the Michigan guys that have just jumped. They're not even maintaining their college eligibility. Iowa, I assume Chris Murray's gone.
There was one that maintained their eligibility that surprised me. Oh, what's his face from Ohio State?
Sensabaugh?
Yeah.
I assume he'll go. He's been mocked in like the lottery, top 20. That's usually when you go. Even if you're like a veteran college basketball guy and you're like pretty much guaranteed to go in that second round, you usually get a guaranteed deal. That's a Terrence Shannon or Coleman Hawkins as far as I go for my teams. They're probably going to stay in. Sounds like Shannon has a better chance to come back. Hawkins kind of has his mindset, but other than that, I'm trying to think else around the Big Ten. Michigan State's getting everyone back. They're going to be good.
Yeah, they're going to be ranked in top 5 probably.
Yeah. Indiana, I mean, they've obviously picked up some transfers, but TJD's gone. Hood Schifino, I don't think he is maintaining eligibility at all.
No,
he might maintain it just in case, but he's get hurt from now until May 31st. But
I think he's been a pro-minded guy since he got to college.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he really wanted to go to IU, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
Yep. Those dominoes will fall in the next few weeks. So, Do you want to get educated real quick before we get into a different topic here? Let's talk about some sporting events that have happened on this day on April 24th. Let's see here. On this day, 1901, the first game in baseball's American League was played between the Chicago White Stockings and the Cleveland Blues. The White Stockings won 8-2. The other games were rained out that day.
American League.
Yeah. I couldn't have told you it became a thing in 1901.
No.
Here's just a random one. On this day, 1956, AL umpire Frank Umont became the first umpire to wear glasses in a regular season game.
First one to wear glasses. How could we complain about the strike zone now. Can you imagine how bad it was back then?
On this day, 1957, the Chicago Cub pitchers walked an NL record 9 Reds in the 5th inning. That's not throwing a lot of strikes.
No, you wonder why they were so bad for 100 years.
On this day, 1962, LA Dodgers pitcher Sandy Koufax had his second career 18 strikeout game in a 10-2 win over the Chicago Cubs in Chicago.
Yeah, old Sandy was a Cub killer.
Man, yeah, 18 strikeouts, that'll do it.
Yeah, he threw a no-hitter against the Cubs in, I think, 1967, and the Cubs didn't get no-hit from 67 until Cole Hamels no-hit them in 2015. So Koufax had some success against him.
He sure did. Who won the 17th NBA championship on this day in 1963?
That's got to be Celtics, right?
Celtics beat the Lakers 4-2. And in that series, Bob Cousy played his last NBA game.
So say who the MVP was?
It does not. It was their 5th straight championship, though.
Man.
On this day, 1967, who won the 21st NBA championship?
67. I'd be hard-pressed not to say Boston Celtics again.
Good guess, but no. The Philadelphia 76ers beat the San Francisco Warriors 4-2. On this day, 1974, the NFL granted Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On this day, 1981, Bill Shoemaker won his 8,000th race, 2,000 more than any other horse jockey.
Oh, man.
That is a lot of races. I mean, that's just the win. So how many races did he participate in?
8,000 races he won. How How many times do you race in a day?
That's a lot. That's a lot of races.
Yeah, man.
A lot of races. On this day, 1988, who was the first pick overall by the Atlanta Falcons in the NFL draft?
88?
Yes,
Dion wasn't number one overall, was he?
he was not.
I don't know.
I've never heard of this guy. Auburn tight end Andre Bruce.
A tight end was
Andre,
taken?
excuse me. Andre spells the word. Yeah. 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 That's what it says.
I'm going to go look him up real quick while you're doing that.
It says Auburn tight end Andre Bruce, first pick by Atlanta Falcons. Or unless that was their first pick ever as a franchise. Could that be it? Maybe it was worded weird.
How do you spell it? Because it's not even showing up on Pro Football Reference.
Aundray.
And okay.
Maybe he's the first Falcon ever taken?
Andre, no, Falcons have been around longer than that, haven't they? Oh, he was no real pick. He was an outside linebacker, though. I think they got the.
It says Auburn tight end on here.
Yeah, he did go to Auburn, but yeah, he was an edge rusher. Looks like
Good job there on thisday.com.
wasn't very good.
On this day, 1994, the Admiral, David Robinson, scored 71 points, seventh highest total in NBA history.
My father tells a story how I took my my uncle to an Iowa Navy basketball game, and the Admiral played in it.
Did Navy win?
I don't know.
I bet they had a good chance if he was playing in it.
Do not know.
Who was the number one overall draft pick in 2004 on this day?
04. 2004. 2005 was Alex Smith. 2004 was that Carson Palmer.
No. Good guess, but it was Eli Manning.
The 04 quarterback class, of course.
Taken by the San Diego Chargers, and later would be traded to the New York Giants in exchange for Phillip Rivers, two future Hall of Fame quarterbacks there. So, but that is the On This Day, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of North Carolina with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting their Instagram or Facebook page at Mooney Woodcrafts. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your order. So get those signs ordered.
Let's talk some NFL. We can do baseball last just in case we run out of time.
Let's do it. Let's start with the big news that broke today. Because it affected my mock draft a little bit. Not as much as I thought at first, but that is Aaron Rodgers is not going to complete his career as a member of the Green Bay Packers. Instead, he will most likely end it as a member of the New York Jets. As the trade became official today, the Jets receive Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay's 15th overall pick and a 2023 fifth round pick, which is the pick 170 for this year. Packers in exchange get this year's 13th overall pick from the Jets, a second round pick this year, pick 42, sixth round pick number 207, and a conditional 2024 second round pick that becomes a first if Rodgers plays 65% of plays this year.
Yeah, I don't think the haul's that great for the Packers, in my opinion. Of course, they didn't have a whole lot of leverage there either, so I guess they could get they got what they could get for him.
They got a first next year. A lot of people didn't think they'd get a first, so
unless Rodgers gets hurt, then it's a second.
That's true. But
still, the pick swap in the first round makes no sense. They're just moving up two spots. But being a fan of an AFC East team and now having to play Aaron Rodgers twice a year doesn't scare me that much. I know the Jets bumped up to the second highest odds to win the AFC East. I think that's complete below. I don't think the Jets are that good. Rodgers had one of the worst years of his career last year. He's getting older. Jets don't have that much talent around. Garrett Wilson's pretty good. But in the defense is solid, but it doesn't scare me as much as Lamar Jackson would even, and I know Dolphins and Bills fans aren't really that scared of Aaron Rodgers anymore. Obviously makes the Jets better, and people can say, "Oh, Jets were pretty close to making the playoffs last year. That defense is really good." Well, you should see the quarterbacks that defense got to go up against. Like 9 games they were up against quarterbacks that are bottom tier quarterbacks. Like they got to play Skylar Thompson twice.
Brett Rippon, baby. I was there in person for that one.
Yeah, Brett Rippon. Some of the other, I think they played the Ravens with Tyler Huntley or
They
whatever.
did. You're right. That's a great point.
So they're going to be better, but and I do think it's clear that New England's the worst team in the division, which makes me smile. But it'd been talked about for months now, and then it finally happened, and I'm sure Packers fans are so glad this whole thing is over. And I'm sure Jets fans are very happy with their new quarterback acquisition.
If any Packers fans are watching live right now on the ISC Sports Network, I'd love you to drop us a comment and tell us what you think about the trade. And because every Packer fan I've talked to, even before this happened, were ready to see Rodgers leave. They were tired of his shtick. So, it'll be interesting. He likes going darkness retreats. He might experience a different form of darkness now, being a member of the New York Jets. I think this is only 1 year thing. I think he plays 1 year and retires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was pretty close to retiring after last year, and then he as I said, I think I said it last week. He said that he went into his darkness retreat 90% retired. He thinks it was difficult in Green Bay. Wait till that New York media gets a hold of you. A whole different animal. So it could wear him really thin really quickly. So obviously it'll be really interesting to see. Now, of course, the Jets will get about 17 primetime games. Which will be incredibly annoying because again, I don't think they're probably a fringe playoff team still, in my opinion.
It just reminds me a lot of the hype they got when they got Brett Favre years ago, to be honest.
Yeah. And they missed playoffs then, too.
It's just ironic that Rodgers is going to play for Woody Johnson. I won't get into more detail about that. You can Google that for yourself, but I just find that ironic. I'm with you. I think this makes the Jets made a fringe playoff team, but I'm not going to crown them AFC East champs or anything like that. I don't know. It's just interesting, the timing of it. Just today during my lunch, I was driving around and AM Sports Radio was actually calling Cowherd, which I don't know why I was listening to him because I don't even like him, but it was on the station I was listening to. And they were talking about the possibility of Rodgers ending up in San Francisco still, because that was kind of the rumor that wasn't going away. It just kept popping back up. Now we can put that one to rest and they can move on with Brock Purdy. It looks like, because it looks like they're going to try to, or they're at least receiving calls, trying to get rid of Trey Lance. Interesting quarterback situation out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's rare for pro athletes to start and finish their career with the same team anymore.
Yeah, especially now. I mean, you never saw it back in the day, or rarely saw it back in the day. But now, I mean, with Peyton was kind of the first guy that I can really remember doing. Well, Favre, I guess, was the first, but then Peyton, and then Brady, and now Rodgers. So we just don't see that anymore. And as far as San Francisco goes, sounds like Brock Purdy could be out all season. So they're kind of in quarterback purgatory. Do they hold on to Lance, or do they trade him which I don't think he has that much value right now anyway.
He hasn't proven enough.
Yeah, he's played very few games. But
I mean, I hold on to him and just to see. I mean, he was starter last year for a reason before he got hurt, even though it seemed like their team elevated every time the quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
But it's that's part, and I'll get into it in a bit, but that's part of what made this mock draft really tough for me is there's so many teams in the top 10 that could take a quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not too confident. I mean, I was looking back in 2020 was the year I got 11 out of 32 right, but I got 11 out of 27 if you didn't count trades. And I think I got something stupid like 11 of the first 12 or 13 picks right. Yeah. It was something dumb like that, and then it really tailed off. I'm not as confident this year, but we'll see. But yeah, it was interesting. Adam Schefter broke the news live on ESPN today. He was talking about Trey Lance and in San Francisco, actually, and then he broke the news right then and there, and everybody was kind of floored that it happened when it happened and the compensation for it and everything. So big news day around the NFL during NFL draft week.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this whole CJ Stroud situation?
I don't put too much emphasis in it. I think some teams are, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not an NFL scout for many, many reasons, but, I thought he played really well last year, especially against Georgia, one of the fastest defenses, if not the fastest defense in all college football. I thought he looked good at his pro day from the highlights. Thought he looked good on the combine. I watched him throw on an airplane while I was watching the combine. I don't know about these test scores. I mean, a lot of these teams that are bad and draft high for quarterbacks aren't good at it. Cleveland Browns, Chicago Bears, New York Jets, just some, for example, that just keep whiffing and whiffing and whiffing. And I'm not saying some of these teams, the Panthers, the Colts, Texans, I mean, maybe their scouting departments are different, but there's also a rumor that the Texans might not even take a quarterback at 2, which I think that'd be a mistake if they don't. But
I don't really understand it because obviously, as for the reasons you said, his tape's fantastic. Pro day was great, combine, whatever. And then he scored very low. He scored an 18 on the S2 cognition test, which majority of guys were in the 80s and 90s. Don't really know what sort of test that is. One NFL exec said he's never had someone grade that low and play well. It almost seems like there's a little bit of collusion. There's people are just spreading rumors in hopes that he'll fall to them, to maybe a team like Tennessee, or even I don't even remember. I don't even know. Maybe even now in New York or Green Bay Packers. Maybe execs are just trying to spread this rumor so they fall. But we've also seen guys have all these rumors spread against them and they still end up going in the top 3. So this year it feels, we say it every year, that the rumor mill is just constantly churning and it seems like it's more hyped than ever. But this year it really feels like it because we know who's going to go number 1. Have no idea who's going number 2. Will Levis is the betting favorite to go number 2, which I think would be a colossal mistake. If I'm Houston, I'm taking CJ Stroud. But I think we'll see 3 quarterbacks in that top 5. That's just my guess. Maybe in the
I think you're talking about the collusion. I think there's a lot of smoke screens out there. And I know, I get the argument that, Ohio State quarterbacks don't do well in the pros and that they are by far the most talented team against everybody they play until Michigan. I get that, but he proved something to me against that Georgia game. I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but he just looks different than the other Ohio State quarterbacks of the past few years. So I think if teams pass on him, I think they're making a big mistake because I think he'll be the best quarterback when we look back on the 2023 draft class. But what do I know? I just host a podcast. So any other thoughts on NFL overall and before we get into this mock draft?
I will give my bucket after you do your mock draft.
Okay. That is fair. So, all right, let's pull her up here. This is my second NFL mock draft and the final and official one. The graphic will be coming out later this week and everything. I don't do trades, so if there's any other trades that happen between the time this podcast airs, this whole thing's going to be blown up. But here we go. A lot of changes from a couple weeks ago. I didn't know how much it would change, but a lot of changes, including my number 1 overall pick. I had the Carolina Panthers taking CJ Stroud last time. I have him taking Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama, this year. So I think I'll be shocked if he's not number 1 overall. Number 2, Houston Texans. I'm ignoring all the smoke screens. I'm ignoring everything out there right now. I think they take, if they're smart, CJ Stroud, quarterback from Ohio State. But if he falls, or if other teams can trade up, maybe he goes somewhere else.
There's a reason why Houston's been so bad for pretty much their entire existence.
Yep. So, number 3, Arizona Cardinals. Once again, I have them staying put because I don't do trades. I did not change this pick. I have them taken Will Anderson, edge rusher from Alabama.
Smart, especially with
If he
J.J.
does,
Watt retiring.
right, if he doesn't go 3, he's not going to fall very far.
Yeah.
Number 4, the Indianapolis Colts. I think they have to go quarterback in this spot. Maybe they trade up and get who they really want. But I think they go Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida. The most athletic quarterback in the draft. But I don't know. He seems a little raw to me.
Yeah,
So.
the lack of production is really concerning.
Yep. So, but I think he's the better pick than Will Levis, in my opinion. So, number 5, Seattle Seahawks. I have them going defense, getting edge rusher Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. I think I had him going in the top 10, but not quite the top 5 in my last one. But he keeps rising up the boards in all the experts' mock drafts. So, Texas Tech, every once in a while, they just produce a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
On offense and defense. Number 6, I know you'll like this one, the Detroit Lions. I have them taking Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. I had him going 14th to the Patriots a couple weeks ago. Kind of wanted to believe them there just to aggravate you, but I think he's too good. There's too many teams that need defensive back help before the Patriots pick up 14. I think he'd be perfect for the Lions. They got rid of Jeff Okuda to the Falcons just a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I think he fills that void.
I've seen like 90% of mock drafts have had Witherspoon to the Lions at 6.
Yeah.
So
yeah, almost. It's one of those spots might be too good to be true. Yeah. But we'll see. Another team that needs defensive back help, Las Vegas Raiders at 7. I have them getting Christian Gonzalez, cornerback from Oregon.
Their first round picks, like the last 5 years, have been miserably bad, like the worst ever.
Well, it's a Davis making draft picks. So Al used to go for speed. Mark, who knows what he goes for. But I've seen Christian also be mocked clear down in the 20s and some too. So we'll see there. I mean, the Raiders could potentially be a spot for a quarterback. I mean, they do have Jimmy G now, but we'll see. Number 8, Atlanta Falcons. I'm not too confident in this one. I think this is a reach. I don't think this guy's going to go this high, but I left him in there. That's Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher from Iowa. I think he's definitely a first rounder, but he's probably more borderline 20 or so. Maybe not 8, but
Daniel Jeremiah had him, I think, at his 14th best player in the draft. So it's not too far off.
I mean, the Falcons need rush help, defensive rush help. So taking a flyer there, we'll see. Number 9, Chicago Bears. I had them going offensive line in my first one, taking the hometown kid from Northwestern. Have them going defense, though, this time. I have Jalen Carter falling down, the defensive tackle from Georgia, falling down to 9. At one time, he was mocked to be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah. I've seen, at least around here, a lot of talk's been around Carter potentially falling to 9, and Bears fans are 50-50 because it sounds like Carter's a guy that doesn't really love football that much, so could be a boomer bust type.
Yeah, yep. We will see. We will see there. I think a lot of Bears fans are hopeful that he'll fall that far. But number 10, Philadelphia Eagles. I have them taking running back Bijan Robinson from Texas.
Yeah.
He's been linked there. They were one of the few teams that brought him in for a top 30 interview. A 10 might be a little stretch. I mean, they could maybe try to get him at 30, but
yeah, I've seen talk
who's
that
to say that he's there.
The moment he steps onto an NFL field for the first time, he's a top 10 running back in the league already. Yeah,
he's pretty good every time I watch Texas, but that's a big take there. Number 11, Tennessee Titans. They could definitely go quarterback. I could see them getting the replacement for Ryan Tannehill because I think they're going to give up on Malik Willis already.
I think they're hoping C.J. Stroud falls to 11. They're probably
I just don't see that though, but I could be wrong. I don't think he gets past the Colts if he falls to 4.
Yeah.
But I have the Titans actually getting Tannehill some pass protection and Peter Skoronski, offensive lineman from Northwestern. Number 12, Houston Texans. I got him getting C.J. Stroud's buddy, getting him some wide receiver help there with another guy from the Ohio State, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Number 13, the Green Bay Packers. Now, they were 15th. Now they're 13th with that trade with the Jets. They could get Jordan Love, presuming Jordan Love's going to be their quarterback. They could get him some wide receiver help, but I have them doing what the Packers do, not getting their quarterback's wide receiver help. I have them getting some pass protection because they're going to need to protect the guy now in Osiris Torrance, offensive lineman from Florida.
How hilarious would it be, though, if this is the year they take a wide receiver?
And maybe they do just to make Aaron Rodgers mad. Which I forgot to mention this. My dad texted me a few minutes ago. He's rooting for an all New York Super Bowl now. Danny Dimes versus Aaron Rodgers.
Giants are going to go 6-11 next year, and it's going to be the funniest thing ever. It's going to be the greatest thing ever.
Book it?
Book it.
All right. Number 14, New England Patriots. I have them getting some offensive line help from Mac Jones and Broderick Jones, offensive tackle from Georgia. This isn't going to happen. I have like 4 offensive linemen going consecutively in a row, but that's just how the cookie crumbled for me here. Number 15, New York Jets. I have them getting Rodgers some pass protection help. Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle from Ohio State. They could go wide receiver as well to try to get him some weapons, or tight end maybe. And number 16, the Washington Commanders. This was a tough one. I don't really know what they need and don't need. I feel like they need a little bit of everything. But I have them getting offensive tackle from Tennessee, Darnell Wright. Number 17, Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them getting the same guy I did in the first mock draft. That's Joey Porter Jr., cornerback from Penn State. I just think if he's there, he makes too much sense for him. Maybe I like the story, but I know their fan base would like that. Number 18, if he falls here, the Lions are having the best draft, in my opinion, out of anybody in the first round. That's Nolan Smith, edge rusher from Georgia. I mean, if they can get Devin Witherspoon and Nolan Smith in the first round, doing something right there. And for a team that was darn near a playoff team last year. Number 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is where I think Will Levis goes. I think Baker Mayfield's just a bridge gap quarterback. I think Levis goes here. If he doesn't go here, I could see him sliding out of the first round.
Yeah.
Number 20, Seattle Seahawks. I have them getting also boosting their defense up again with getting some interior D-line help with Brian Breesy, defensive tackle from Clemson. 21, Los Angeles Chargers. I have them getting another weapon for Justin Herbert. Herbert's best year was when he had, Hunter Henry. I couldn't think of his name. Hunter Henry there and healthy. So I think they get the best tight end in the draft class, according to a lot of the experts. Dalton Kincaid from Utah. I think I had him going to the Cowboys at 26 in my first one. 22, Baltimore Ravens. I have them getting Lamar some wide receiver help. I mean, they just did that, getting Odell Beckham Jr. if Odell Beckham Jr. is focused and not a locker room disturbance. But I have them getting Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College.
Yeah.
So East Coast guys staying out there.
Yeah,
23.
Flowers is getting a lot of buzz right now, too, and could go maybe in that top 15 as well.
Yep. Yeah, he is. There's a lot of wide receivers in the back 20s here in my mock that I think could go above. And I left, in the spoiler, Hyatt out. Tennessee volunteer. I can't remember his first name's last name's Hyatt. He's starting to get a lot of buzz to creep into the first round, too, as a speedster. Number 23, Minnesota Vikings. I have him taking arguably the best defensive lineman best interior defensive lineman in the draft from Pittsburgh. This is a guy I did not have in my last mock draft, but all the experts are raving about him now, and they're the ones who are calling him the best interior defensive lineman, potentially the best interior defensive lineman. That's Kalaja Cansey from Pittsburgh. Hope I pronounced that right. 24, Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of people had him trading out of this spot. I left him in, of course. I haven't taken Brian Branch, safety from Alabama. He can also play corner, they said, in the next level if he needs to. 25, New York Giants. I have them getting Danny Dimes, a target, and Jordan Addison, wide receiver from USC. 26, Dallas Cowboys. I have them getting a linebacker. I just always feel like the Cowboys are targets for linebackers. Have them getting Trenton Simpson, linebacker from Clemson. 27, the Buffalo Bills. I think Josh Allen could use another target. I have them taking Quentin Johnston, wide receiver from TCU.
I wonder if Stephon Diggs is too happy there. He should be very happy, but did not look like they were getting along too well against the Bengals, and some stuff's been said this offseason.
Right. It never hurts to have a good depth of wide receivers there. And the Bills, I don't know what else they really need.
Yeah.
28 Cincinnati Bengals. They love their tight ends, especially from Notre Dame. I got them getting one in Michael Mayer.
Good pick.
Yeah, he's got to be good at the next level. 29 New Orleans Saints. I have them getting edge rush help from Clemson, Miles Murphy. So I have 3 Clemson Tigers going in the first round, even though they weren't what they should have been this year. 30 Philadelphia Eagles. I have them getting some defensive back help and Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback from Mississippi State. And lastly, since the Dolphins, Stephen Ross gave up their pick, 31st, the defending Super Bowl champs. I want to puke saying that. Kansas City Chiefs. I have them getting some offensive line help for Patrick Mahomes there, and Anton Harrison, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. So there you have it. There you have it.
This will be the J-Man's bucket prediction of the week. I think we see at least 3 quarterbacks go in that top 5. And I think the quarterbacks are as follows: Bryce Young to the Texans, to the Panthers, Will Levis to the Texans.
That would be awful, but I can see
Anthony Richardson to the Colts. I think Stroud slides a little bit.
Wow.
Watch out for Seattle, though, taking one of those guys, too, if they fall to 5.
Yeah, if he falls in Seattle's lap, I know they just gave Geno that 3-year big-time money extension, but
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you could pass him up.
Yeah, Geno feels a lot like a 1-year wonder. So
if he slides, look for the Titans to slide up. Look for the Raiders to give it consideration. Mm-hmm. Look for the Vikings maybe to trade up. I know Cousins is there, but he's getting older. Do the Rams trade up and try to take a future guy with who knows how many more years Stafford's got? I don't know. It's interesting because it just matters where do these teams think they are in their stage of their rebuilds or their contention or whatever. So.
Going back to the Rodgers thing real quick, the AFC is loaded with quarterbacks now. The NFC doesn't really have. They have Stafford, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. Jalen Hurts, obviously. But the AFC is loaded. You have the AFC East, every quarterback in that except Mac Jones. You have the AFC North with Lamar Jackson, and I'll even throw Deshaun Watson in there a little bit. Joe Burrow. You have Patty Mahomes. You have Justin Herbert. You have quarterbacks all over the place. The NFC just doesn't have. So
I'm hoping after this year you can add Russell Wilson back to that list, but he's gonna have to prove a lot. He's gonna have to prove a lot.
He's dead. His career's dead.
I did read something that I love today, and it's a third day pick, so I know a lot of people don't put stock into it. But Peter King in his Pro Football Focus said today that he wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos take a sniff at Aiden O'Connell in the third day. I'm like, I would love that just to say the Broncos have a Purdue guy. So I think 5 Purdue guys will get drafted. So.
I saw Charlie Jones was in Daniel Jeremiah's top 70, I think. He was at 69.
I think Corey Trice, Charlie Jones, Aiden O'Connell, Payne Durham, and I still think, even though he hadn't done well in workouts, I think Jalen Graham. I think those are the 5 that get drafted. So.
Speaking of third day picks, that leads me to my work association.
Well, who's the bucket presented by?
J-Man's Book Prediction Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watching for life, home, auto, business, renters, worker, comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watching@infb.com. So third day picks nowadays are picks in rounds 4 through 7. Threw a couple third rounders on here because it was kind of tough to find a good 4th through 7th rounder. So these are of the past 15, 16 years, something like that. Starting with Max Crosby.
Dude's a bona fide stud for the Raiders. Gets better every year. Yep. He's just a force. I mean, he just wreaked havoc on the Broncos both games they played this year. And he's a likable dude, too. I don't try to like too many Raiders, but he's a guy that's hard to root against.
Yeah. I remember watching him his rookie year on Hard Knocks when the Raiders had it. And he went to punch the ball and he broke his hand. And he's mic'd up and he goes, I just broke my hand. And then he stayed in for another play.
Whatever.
He's a beast. Mark Andrews.
I forgot he was a third day pick.
I think he's a third rounder.
Another good man. He could be second day
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, third day is 4 through 7 round, but I had to throw a few third rounders on here.
Oh, okay. I missed you saying that.
Fill some spots.
But no, he's been good. Typical. I lost my banner there. I don't know what's going on with my keyboard. Typical Raven.
Yep. George Kittle.
Really good. I don't even remember him that well at Iowa, to be honest.
No, he didn't pass catch at all.
He's just a beast for the Niners. Fun to watch. Electric personality off the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was tight in you right there with Notre Dame.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill.
Fastest guy in the league. He's good at Kansas City. He's good at Miami again. He and Waddle down there raise terror on AFC's defenses and anybody really that faces them. And yeah, he's called. I might not like him off the field very much, but he's nicknamed Cheetah for a reason. And we'll see. We'll see if he sticks to his only playing 3 more years playing or not.
Yeah, we'll see. Stephon Diggs.
Another good one, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. Some people rank him top 5. He's good in Minnesota. He's been good at Buffalo. But like you said, we'll see how happy he is in Buffalo going forward.
Keenan Allen.
Oh, he's been a Bronco killer. Feels like he's been a Charger for 19 years.
Yeah.
He's just Mr. Consistent. Him and Mike Evans are 2 guys that have been consistent their whole careers and don't get enough respect and publicity, really.
Agreed. Kirk Cousins.
Kirk, I mean, he's a winner until it's prime time or the playoffs. Then he doesn't really get it done. But
he's good until that game starts at 7:00 Central Time.
He's had a better NFL career than I ever thought he would coming out of Michigan State.
Richard Sherman.
I didn't like how much he talked, but he's probably make the Hall of Fame. I would think.
Eventually,
was really good. He was the face of that Legion of Boom defense for the Seahawks, and then was an all right Niner towards the end of his career. Injuries caught up to him, but yeah, I mean, for a guy who was a wide receiver for 2 years at Stanford before he switched defensive back, he made a heck of a career for himself.
Mm-hmm. Geno Atkins.
Oh, big Geno. Hadn't thought of him for a while.
He was a beast, too.
He was a beast for the Bengals.
Yeah.
When the Bengals couldn't get over the hump and win a playoff game. Now they're making Super Bowls. Yeah. But yeah, he was a beast for a while, and then he just kind of tempered off after a while, but he was a stud.
Jamal Charles.
Yeah, he was a bona fide stud for a long time for the Chiefs. Another Broncos killer. Then he was a Bronco to end his career. And then they didn't use him very much that year. It was kind of disappointing because he did fine when he got used. But they didn't give him a lot of touches, and was good at Texas, good on the Chiefs. Reminded me a lot of oh my gosh, now his name's escaping me. Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
For the Rams, fast, big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll never forget that Chiefs-Broncos game where the Chiefs turned it over 5 times and he fumbled and Broncos picked it up and ran back for a touchdown to win.
Yep. That was the last time they beat the Chiefs, Josh.
That was a long time. That was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Brandon Marshall, wide receiver Brandon Marshall.
It was good everywhere he went. Played for a million teams.
Yeah.
He played for the Broncos and the Jets and the Dolphins and the Bears and the...
He's probably at his best with the Bears, too.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, he did break an NFL single-game receptions on the Broncos against the Colts in a losing effort. I was at that game. Kyle Orton was throwing him the passes. But, yeah, no, he's been good everywhere he went, but he was kind of a drama-filled guy everywhere he went to.
Richie Incognito, speaking of drama.
Oh, man. Yeah. Was out of the league for a while with drama with the Dolphins and came back and in his career with the Raiders, fittingly so. Good offensive lineman, though. Just kind of a head case.
Yeah, multiple-time Pro Bowler. He was really good. People know him more for his antics than they do his play, though. Jared Allen.
Hall of Famer. Was good for the Chiefs and arguably better for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Funny guy. Yeah. So these guys you're listening to, just like, how did they fall this far? It's just finding hidden gems in the draft.
Yep. Jason Witten.
I don't know why he came back and played for the Raiders, but Mr. Cowboy himself took a year off and then came back and played. Tennessee Volunteer. I'll never forget against the Giants when his helmet popped off, and he kept running down the field for about 30 more yards and then put his head between 2 guys. Was probably not smart, but was just Mr. Consistent. Him and Romo for years in the Cowboys.
Last one here, Brian Westbrook.
He's a trivia answer a lot of times, it seems like. One of the better receiving running backs in NFL history. Was a really good Philadelphia Eagle for a long time, was a winner. And then I think he also played for the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a few other teams. But he's remembered heavily for his presence on the Eagles. So, Yep. Who's your favorite draft pick of all time?
Dolphins draft pick of all
Yes.
time?
Yes.
Oh, they've all sucked so much. Since I've really been watching the draft, the guy who ended up being I'll say this: the guy I was most excited for when they drafted him was Tua. The guy I was least excited for that they drafted in the first round was Ryan Tannehill. Hated the Charles Harris pick a few years ago.
Deion Jordan? How'd you like that one?
I liked it at the time. Obviously,
Jake Long.
Like the Jake Long pick. Wish they would have went Matt Ryan. Looking back, obviously,
Sure.
wish they would have went Aaron Rodgers instead of Ronnie Brown in 2005. Love the Vontae Davis pick though, just because of the Illinois connection. That was probably my favorite draft pick. I imagine was the Vontae Davis one. Also like the Mike Pouncey one too. Actually, now that I say this, Tua was the one I was most excited for, but I was pumped when they took Devontae Parker too. He was just.
I remember that. I rember you were pumped because I was pumped. The Broncos took Shane Ray because he fell to him that night and he didn't do as much. But my favorite Broncos was Von Miller.
For sure.
Demarius Thomas is probably number 2. But they've had a lot of guys I've liked, but Von Miller, far and away number 1.
Yeah.
That is the word association segment, which is brought to you by Proforma Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, Proforma Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815, or you can email her at barbara.vanweinsberg@proforma.com. 2 more things I want to say before we do Birdie or Bogey, because it looks like we're not going to have time to talk baseball tonight. If I don't say these 2,
we did NFL first.
Smart man. That's why you're the time manager of this podcast. If I don't say these 2 things, it's going to bother me. I did see Aaron Rodgers is not going to wear number 12. He's going to go back to his college number that he wore at Cal and wear number 8. So that'll be interesting.
Joe Namath did give him permission to wear 12, though.
Yep. And I meant to share this last week, and I totally forgot because the NHL playoffs are going on right now, too. And the Avs got 2-1 lead over the Kraken. Got to throw that in there. But the Stanley Cup was created in 1892. It's older than crossword puzzles, which were created in 1913. E equals MC squared, which was 1905. No. The air conditioner, which was 1902. And the airplane, which was 1903.
Man,
Stanley Cup, 1892.
I don't know what I'd do without air condition for one. No idea what E equals MC squared means. Don't even want to try math. Airplane has changed the world, obviously. What was the other one? Was there another one on there? Crossword puzzles. My grandma loves crossword puzzles.
I don't mind crossword puzzles. I like them.
I
like them better than Sudoku or word searches.
Yeah.
Well, Birdie or Bogey? What active NBA head coach was a Finals MVP?
That would be Chauncey Billups.
We are tied, my friend. Yes, sir.
He's in Portland. When you said that, I did not even think of him, but then I'm like, I think Billups is in Portland.
Yes, you got that right. And he's only one of 3 Finals MVP since 1969 that is not in the Hall of Fame.
I wonder who the other 2 are. That's a really good.
I got them. I got the other 2. Well. I got one right, and the other one I would have got wrong. But I got one of these other 2 right off the top of my head.
Well,
one is Cornbread Maxwell from the 81 Celtics.
Oh, good old Cornbread.
And the other one's Andre Iguodala. He was one of the Finals MVPs for the Warriors.
Forgot, because 20. What year was that? 15 or 17?
I get them all confused.
I do too.
So,
but thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man show. I'm very proud of us for ending on time tonight. We will be back at it next Monday with another episode. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll see you later.